I don't think that I belong in this world. Everything's messed up. Everything's backwards. This is a clown world. It really is. Everything has to be run by demons. It like has to. There's no other way. People like Logan Paul can still be famous and still like basically control a big chunk of the internet. And people like Mr. Beast, the entirety of Hollywood. The Coffeezilla versus Logan Paul situation gets worse. Oh boy, here we go. Have something to do with a lawsuit? I think it does. Because Logan Paul was suing Coffeezilla, I believe. What was it, for defamation? I don't know, I've covered it. I just don't remember. I cover so many things. It's just like all these stupid situations all just kind of jumble up into one thing. And it's just this weird, gross mass of disgusting that's just in my brain that I can't get rid of. Cancer, it's cancer.
Logan Paul has officially exposed his true motives for suing Coffeezilla, and in doing so, severely crippled his chances of winning the defamation lawsuit. Zilla will pay, one way or another.
Yeah, he was making these weird threats in text messages that he had to release.
I'll make sure of it, just to make his life difficult. Bro, you're a billionaire. A petty billionaire. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we'll be uncovering the recent developments in the Coffeezilla vs Logan Paul lawsuit, how it's going, what's been revealed in the latest filings, and how it could fundamentally change the YouTube landscape when it's all said and done. I think everyone watching is more than familiar with the ongoing legal battle between Logan Paul and Coffeezilla. However,
Does he still sell Prime? Is Prime still a thing? I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it anywhere.
If you're not all caught up, here's a super brief overview of what's going on. Almost 2 years after Coffeezilla released a 3-part documentary covering the infamous CryptoZoo project that cost users millions, Logan went through with his initial threats of legal action and—
Yeah, what's going on with that whole CryptoZoo thing? Is that still a scam? Yeah. I mean, I know it's still a scam. I mean, is it still alive? Did he repay anybody? Is he facing any kind of legal troubles for that?
And filed a lawsuit against Coffeezilla, reading as a—
I thought that hammer was a middle finger. I thought I was getting flipped off.
direct and proximate result of the publication of the false and defamatory January 5th, 2024 YouTube video. Paul has suffered damages including injury to reputation, embarrassment, humiliation, emotional distress, and economic damages.
Bro, he did all that to himself. Maybe he needs to sue himself.
In an amount to be determined at trial. Anyone who knew the story behind their feud over CryptoZoo could tell that the lawsuit wasn't filed over genuine damages, but as a means of getting revenge against the one man who was bold enough to document and expose all of his lies. After all, Logan didn't fulfill his promise to finish the CryptoZoo game, nor did he refund egg holders. And to make matters even worse, he was facing a class action lawsuit spearheaded by attorney Tom over the project. Going after Coffeezilla with a defamation lawsuit over factual events could suggest that Logan wanted to either make an example of him, silence him, bankrupt him with legal fees, or all three. While all these factors—
That is what we in the industry call lawfare. I don't know why I said we in the industry like I'm in the industry. That's what people in the industry call lawfare. And it's disgusting, and if you use tactics like this, there's a place for you. And it absolutely is run by demons.
are at play, examining the case files not only reveals a much more sinister plan from Logan, but also a game-changing move from Coffeezilla that could potentially demolish the lawsuit. To fully understand the lawsuit's progression, we have to know the underlying processes both parties have to go through by law. They include 1. Pleadings, 2. Discovery, 3. Motions, 4. Trial, and 5. Appeals if necessary. For the sake of this video, we'll only be focusing on the discovery process and the motions filed in the case. Regarding discovery, Logan and Coffeezilla are required by the courts to hand over relevant documents, media, and recordings that could help prove or disprove the basis of the lawsuit. To prevent certain private or sensitive information from getting leaked to the public, both parties in the lawsuit agreed to a joint confidentiality order. This means that no matter how damaging the information they find out about Logan, if it's deemed confidential, it won't be reported on by Coffeezilla and will be redacted in public documents. This veil of confidentiality and the necessary discovery Imagine
what Coffeezilla knows, but he can't say yet until this trial is over. and maybe not ever be able to say ever. Who knows, man? Some really, really raunchy shit.
Process gave Logan the perfect avenue to demand particular communication between Coffeezilla and a yet-to-be-named third party in the CryptoZoo case.
What if he's like being involved in like weird gay orgies? You know? Like some Diddy stuff. But maybe less abuse? I don't know. That'd be funny, huh? Yeah, that'd be funny.
Reading, plaintiff Logan Paul moves this court to compel defendants to produce all communications between Paul and others regarding Paul's involvement with the CryptoZoo project that defendants possessed when they published the libels at the issue in this case. Essentially, Logan wanted to see everything that went into planning the CryptoZoo documentary, and argued that it was a key part of proving Coffeezilla maliciously produced the documentary. In response, Coffeezilla's legal team argued that said communications were protected by Texas's journalistic privileges and the First Amendment. They even went as far as pointing out previous instances when Logan requested these communications but refused to abide by their request regarding his communications.
I think there's gonna be a movie about this sometime in the future. Hopefully it'll be sometime after Logan Paul goes to prison or something.
With the document stating, defendants proposed a simple solution that preserves the privilege. Paul can ask Coffeezilla in a deposition whether he has certain documents or information Paul believes support his claim that Coffeezilla acted with actual malice. Defendants also offered to review Paul's production and identify which documents Coffeezilla also has. Ironically, as Logan was trying to get information out of Coffeezilla, he was filing motions to protect his own private communication from being made public. Logan's goal during discovery was to protect his secrets at all costs, while he was trying to gather as much information on Coffeezilla as he could. Sadly, that strategy would be his undoing. It would later be revealed that the individual Logan was trying to get communications about was none other than attorney Tom. To make matters worse, after the judge looked over their communication in person, he granted Coffeezilla and attorney Tom's motion, but denied Logan's. By going after them so directly, Logan had stupidly linked this defamation lawsuit to the class action lawsuit, and opened the door for the Coffeezilla side to make some actual critical connections.
Damn, what a moron. Yeah, when you get the entire internet involved in something like this, not good. Things get found. Things get linked together. Everybody's piling on looking for as much information as they can, and I guarantee you, nothing's gonna be found about Coffeezilla, because I think he's just a normal, boring dude. Logan Paul, however, we're probably gonna find out some crazy shit about that dude. Maybe not this case, maybe the next one. Cause you know, there will be a next one. And it'll probably be worse. Hopefully it's not something to do with the Lunchlean Prime being like poisonous or something.
On the 15th of April 2025, Coffeezilla's attorney would file a motion to stay and transfer the venue of the case. Essentially, they wanted to pause all the court proceedings until the court confirms the connection between the cases and merges litigations with Logan's other CryptoZoo lawsuit. Their reasoning for bringing forth this motion were threefold. One, to make the litigation more efficient due to the overlap in the premise and evidence of both cases. Two, Logan was using the lawsuit not to gain compensation, but as a way to punish Coffeezilla.
Yeah, no shit. It's that, not just to punish Coffeezilla. It's to serve as a warning to anybody else who wants to go poking around and investigating Logan Paul's evil deeds. Because he'll throw everything he's got at you. He'll burn himself down. Because if he doesn't attempt something, then everything's gonna burn down anyway.
And 3, Logan was trying to use the defamation case to obtain information about the other pending lawsuits, with the document reading, unable to obtain discovery with the Holland case effectively, stayed while the court considered motions to dismiss. Paul strategically filed this lawsuit to punish the reporter who helped uncover his cryptocurrency scam and gain discovery to defend himself in the pending civil proceedings. Regarding the second point, Coffeezilla's attorney provides some very concerning text messages from Logan made prior to filing the lawsuit. Reading, lawyering up, suing this MFer into the ground. Then everything will come out, court docs are public, as well as, so everyone will see what happened for better or for worse.
Okay, I don't know who Logan Paul is talking to here, but I think the person he's talking to is way smarter than him about doing this whole lawfare thing. Because they seem like the way they're wording things is like, they're trying to word it as if Coffeezilla is a bad guy. and that everything that he's saying is lies. And Logan Paul's just straight up like, no, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. We're gonna take him down.
Logan obviously didn't take into account how bad things were about to get for him, as the next set of text messages revealed just how devastating Coffeezilla's coverage was. Reading, "There's a price to pay. That's the idea. I see the momentum building cause the throne is being shook right now," as well as need to shut it down. He even admits the entire purpose of the lawsuit was, quote, just to make his life difficult. If any of these statements didn't sink his lawsuit, claiming he's a, quote, petty billionaire definitely did. These receipts not only wreck Logan's reputation publicly, or at least what was left of it, but also
I don't think anything was left of it. I think it just pushed people over the edge, and now everybody's pissed. Everybody. There's probably people that are working under Logan Paul that are just leaving. They're probably jumping ship. I don't know, man, because they're gonna be out of the job pretty soon. He's gonna have to start laying people off.
damage the strength of his arguments in court. When you look at how desperately Logan was trying to get information out of Coffeezilla, the connection between the two lawsuits becomes almost impossible to ignore. Both cases rely on the same claims and need to answer the same fundamental question of whether or not Logan scammed CryptoZoo users. Getting information from Coffeezilla was the quickest way he could bolster his legal defense, and when you take into note the timing of the case, Logan's motives become undeniable. In Texas, the state the case was filed, there is a 1-year statute of limitation for defamation claims. Logan didn't file his lawsuit until June 2024, which means he couldn't cite Coffeezilla's original 3-part series and had to go after him for more recent claims. This implies that he wasn't ready or willing to sue Coffeezilla initially, and only found a reason to do so recently. Looking at everything broadly, it seems the reason was the Holland lawsuit. Logan effectively started one lawsuit to end the other, and ended up biting off more than he could chew. Logan's hasty attitude to the case
Yeah, this ain't gonna go well for him. Woo! Let's go. I can't wait to cover the next part of this, see what's going on with this, and make fun of him because this guy's such a moron, man. I love to see it. I wonder what Coffeezilla is gonna get out of this. Recognition, at least. That's all he really needs. Even if Coffeezilla doesn't win this, he's still gonna come out on top.
has given Coffeezilla the perfect opportunity to either end the case sooner or have it litigated alongside the more serious class action lawsuit. However, winning isn't Coffeezilla's only concern. Having sufficient funding to ride out the case was also a concern. The process of going through all the necessary documents during the discovery will require tens or hundreds of billable hours from his legal team, and that's if they're just looking over the necessary documents.
No, he needs to start asking people. He needs to start asking for funds. I know he had like that t-shirt thing that he was doing. I think he needs to straight up ask YouTubers for donations. He needs to go on like the Unsubscribe podcast or something. They'll definitely help this whole thing. But then that's gonna pit Unsubscribe podcast against Impulsive, and you know, that's gonna be crazy. A bunch of dumbasses versus a bunch of dumbass military guys.
Knowing Logan, he could prolong the case by flooding Coffeezilla's legal team with unnecessary documents during discovery. To prevent that from happening, Coffeezilla's legal team initially opted for the quicker way to end the case through a settlement in mediation, and was given a deadline of the 26th of June 2025 to conclude it with Logan's side. While a mediator isn't the one to give a final verdict on the case, involving one could speed up the legal process and reduce legal costs for everyone involved. Fortunately, Coffeezilla's side was a more effective way to conclude the case, and one could only hope the judge agrees with them. It goes without saying, but every step of the legal process is expensive, and the more steps Logan adds to the process, the worse it gets for Coffeezilla.
Yeah, our system's busted if that's how it works. When you're trying to defend yourself and trying to make things right, but the person with more money just keeps dropping stuff on you that you have to pay for, or it all falls apart. And then the bad guy gets away. That is not at all how it should work. That's how you know the whole system's run by fucking demons!
At some point, you wonder if Logan is even trying to win the case, or instead going for a game of trying to drain Coffeezilla's bank account. Prolonging the case not only keeps Coffeezilla from reporting about him, but also hurts his biggest critic financially. If Coffeezilla loses or is bankrupted by legal fees, Logan and other crypto scammers would become even more of a problem, and have more confidence to take advantage of their fans. On the other hand, if Coffeezilla wins, his victory wouldn't just extend to the class action lawsuit, but to any journalist that reports on crypto scams. Influencers like Logan Paul.
Also, any journalist that reports on Logan Paul specifically. I guarantee you there's a lot more dirt that can be dug up. More people need to be looking into Logan Paul. I think they're scared of him. I think they're scared of Logan Paul and his money and his posse that he's got, who also have money, and he's got WWE behind him. But if enough people go after him, if enough people find his evil deeds and his misdoings and his wrongings, then everybody will drop him. I don't see it happening in this lifetime because, like I said before, the world is run by Satan!
Paul would be held accountable, and fans that lost their money would be made whole. Reporting on a wealthier and more litigious influencer wouldn't be viewed as a possibly career-ending move, but as a necessary action. Not to mention the fact that this case will be cited in future lawsuits as case law, and will potentially protect other journalists who might face a similar weaponized lawsuit. Whichever way the case concludes, it will certainly cascade throughout the online world, and dictate how we handle such high-profile scams going forward.
Yeah. This is actually one of the most important cases on the internet ever. Probably in the history of the world, this might be one of the most important cases, because this is going to dictate how we handle lawfare like this in the future, like this internet lawfare between YouTubers. This is going to show us, are the good guys going to be on top, or are the bad guys going to be on top? And I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's going to be the bad guys on top.
When Logan initially filed this lawsuit, he must have assumed it would be a walk in the park, but judging by his recent motion to keep his text messages confidential, it seems he's starting to regret it. With the document reading, it is apparent that those materials have no relevance to the motion or defendant's arguments, and instead were almost certainly filed for the sole and improper purpose of providing defendants with an excuse to advocate for their public disclosure in order to harm and embarrass plaintiff. Logan's ever-expanding ego led him to assume he could get away with robbing his fans.
Yeah, and it turns out there was nothing there, and it just made Logan Paul look worse because he also had to do the same thing. Makes him look even worse because he tried to not have it released, even though he had Coffeezilla release his. It's fucking gross. Fucking gross.
And suing Coffeezilla. Unfortunately, that same ego blinded him to just how poorly planned his case was. Now, he's not only facing 2 lawsuits that he's unlikely to win, but
I bet he was sitting in a room with some guys and he was just like, if we release his private text messages, I know this guy has something. Everybody's got something. I've got something. You've got something. We all do stuff that's bad and wrong. He's got to have something in there. Turns out, no, it was still just Logan.
But is getting his brand torn to pieces publicly and has no one to blame for it except himself.
True! What a moron. Actually, that's not true. He's got his dad to blame. He's got his brother to blame. He's got everybody around him to blame. That weird Mike guy that was a cuck. Probably still a cuck, I guess. Once a cuck, always a cuck. Hope I didn't say that too many times. YouTube, don't flag this video. Well, that's all I got for this situation for now. Hopefully next time I cover this, Coffeezilla is winning. Right now, Coffeezilla took a win, but I think he's still losing. Buy a t-shirt down there in the description. I'm out.